Hey guys, I have a theory that is gonna blow your mind. There are probably other versions of this theory, some of which are probably way better than mine, but I'm gonna share my ideas anyway. Does Kirby have secret economic messages hidden in his games? Let's find out. The main game we're going to be looking at is Kirby's Dream Land, but we can also look at Spring Breeze from Kirby Superstar and Kirby Superstar Ultra. In the game, DDD is stealing all of the food in Dreamland for himself. He also took the sparkling stars, which are used by the people of Dreamland to harvest said food. We'll get back to the sparkling stars later, but let's focus on the food for now. DDD is the ruler of Dreamland, right? So why would he steal all the food? Well, there is only one explanation. DDD collected all the food because he is trying to make Dreamland a communist nation. DDD plans on taking all of the food and distributing it out equally among the people of Dreamland. He is the ruler, so it only makes sense that he would be the one to manage the supply and ration it. Of course, Kirby, feeling bad for the hungry people around him, decides to get all the food back and retrieve the sparkling stars. DDD, knowing that Dreamland is too dense to realize his goal, doesn't tell anyone about his plan. Sadly, this causes Kirby to go against the king and save the day. So does this mean that Kirby represents capitalism in this scenario? No! People mistakenly make Kirby represent capitalism in these theories, when in reality, it's Meta Knight! Going back to the sparkling stars, if DDD really just wanted the food for himself, he wouldn't have taken the sparkling stars. The sparkling stars are the artifacts used to harvest the food of Dreamland, and without it, the citizens of Dreamland would starve. DDD isn't that heartless. He wouldn't steal it to starve them. Then what is he doing? DDD realizes how lazy Dreamland is. He realizes that if he doesn't do anything, Dreamland would eventually run out of food. Because of their laziness, he assumed that they would eventually be too lazy to use the sparkling stars and harvest food for themselves. So DDD came in to save the day. He entrusted the sparkling stars to his hardest working minions. Those minions wouldn't be lazy. They would work to help provide food for all of Dreamland. DDD likely did part of it to feel like a hero and feel powerful as the ruler over everyone. But his intentions weren't all bad. But where does Meta Knight fit into all of this? Well, DDD wasn't the only one to think that Dreamland was lazy. In Revenge of Meta Knight from Kirby Superstar, Meta Knight tries to take over Dreamland with the battleship Halberd so that he can end its lazy lifestyle. But what exactly does this mean? Well, to me, it's fairly obvious. Meta Knight, instead of trying to treat all of Dreamland equally, plans on forcing Dreamland to work to get their own food, land, and money. Well, he's trying to enforce capitalism. It's the only logical explanation. Dreamland's lackadaisical lifestyle leads to nothing. So both DDD and Meta Knight attempted to help the residents that live there. DDD tried to improve the cause the way he thought was best, to have the higher-ups distribute the food equally to everyone. Meta Knight planned to help by taking over Dreamland and getting rid of their laziness entirely, forcing them to work for everything and choose their own path. But both seemed like pretty good plans, but they had their flaws. Well, do you agree with me? Do you believe that this has some potential of being real? It makes too much sense. If you agree with me, leave a comment. And if you don't agree with me, leave me a comment and tell me why. Because I obviously know way more about economics and politics than you guys do. And you guys don't know what you are talking about. See ya later.